It's 2010 and China is on the move.
China is on the move.
This is an interesting episode of The Office in which we get great performances from Nate, Hank, Pam, other Pam, and Michael.
I don't care.
Hey, I'm Chris, and I'm reviewing every episode of The Office ever. And today, we're looking at China.
China. We have
a bunch to get to today. In a very odd and very narrowly focused episode, we're going to be talking about Michael's predictions, Oscar's projecting,
actually,
and talk about why America is still very much number one.
Nobody can stop the USA.
Red, white, and blue, baby. Let's go.
I understand nothing. China.
Michael, how was the dentist?
It was great. China.
Michael only ever seems to leave the office for sales calls, costume changes, or to go to the dentist.
Soft teeth.
He's also very comfortable telling an entire group of his subordinates that he still likes to read through highlights magazines.
This kid had the magazine I wanted to read.
A really quick line, but it always brings me back to being a kid and being really excited when I had to be in a waiting room, but there was an available highlights magazine for me. Finding the picture puzzles undone was the best. For apparently $40 US, you can have a year of them sent directly to your house. America. The short of this episode is that Michael has learned of the onset of a new world superpower, who, by the way, have continued to march forward and now have well over 100 cities with populations of 1 million or more, which is bananas.
B-A-N-A-N-A-S.
That's like so many people.
中华都朋友你好。
But this episode's not really about China, and that's really good for me because I'm not up on my world politics and who we're supposed to hate or love and all the reasons why. I'll leave that stuff to others who are much smarter than me.
Lifeline.
Instead, the China stuff is just the MacGuffin to drive a deeper meaning. And we're going to get into that in a bit. But the B plot of China follows Pam as she takes her first real task as office admin. It's an interesting and simple look at Pam as she creates a standoff with Dwight, who is not to be truffled with. A couple of things have always bothered me about the writing in this episode, though, and I'll now work through some of my bullet points. First,
I don't want to fail again.
You didn't fail.
That's what you said about art school, and that's what you said about sales.
Pam didn't fail art school. She didn't pass a single class.
I just talked to my advisor. Failing.
I thought you were good at Flash.
I was, and then they switched to Acrobat just as I was learning Quark. I hate computers.
And then she opted to quit art school.
I don't like graphic design. That's it.
Jim reassures her of this, but I'm not really sure that line made it to the Netflix cut of this episode.
And you didn't fail those things either.
But with all the Pam hate stuff I see online, a lot of the comments are about how big of a failure Pam is. And I think this sequence is maybe what generated a lot of that. To be honest, it's weird to me that someone would walk away from this sequence where someone is confessing their feelings privately to their husband about how they fear failing. And then people on the internet use that to blast how terrible of a human is. Just seems weird. Internet's got an internet though.
Screw you, Texas Poon Tapper.
The next thing that always jumped out to me is that when Dwight and Nate are looking for the office that Pam has been lying about, he says,
10,706.
but they're not in front of that address. They're in front of a completely different address. And this somewhat bugs me because it's not super clear if this is a gaffe in the show's writing or if it's trying to say that Nate and Dwight are also just idiots. If they visited the wrong address, then I think that might actually change the reading of this episode a bit. To know that Dwight never really had the upper hand would be important for us to understand.
I let Pam win.
Third, I can't quite cheer for Pam at the end of this. She didn't really win. I'm glad the writers decided to give Dwight a heart in this episode, but honestly, it undercuts the drama of this moment and Pam's quest for a win.
I was not motivated by compassion. I have no compassion.
But one piece of writing that I can 100% get behind is other Pam.
Pam.
Yeah?
Pam?
What?
I'm Pam.
Oh, No, you're not.
Such a wonderful and random bit. Is this flirting, by the way? The nuance might be lost on me.
You're not a liar too, are you?
I've been known to bend the truth.
This actress has actually been in a few other TV shows and has had a lot more theatrical stuff, and she's also an audiobook narrator too. I reached out to Sarah with an H to see if she had anything to say about being on the series. She didn't respond. If you don't know Krav Maga or something like that, don't approach two random dudes in a neighborhood like this. Similarly, dudes, if you don't know the friendly lady that is walking up to you, smiling and possibly flirting with you, and she's attempting to keep you engaged in conversation longer and longer, that's a trap, and before you know it,
You're dead! You're dead! You're dead!
there is a tertiary plotline in the China episode as well, and it's playing on the budding relationship between Andy and Daryl, first shown in The Sting.
1, 2, 3, hit it. Follow me.
But a few other things that we need to talk about before we pop on over the deeper meaning. This is the first appearance of Dwight's caffeine corner in the building lobby.
Welcome. Start your morning right with a burst of blueberry or try plain.
A bit that is on brand for Dwight, and I love it.
$8.
$8?
You can actually see the same Call of Duty prop from way back in Season 3 is seated here just for a little fun.
Call of Duty.
And speaking of fun, Jim is still dealing with the boredom from the sales cap revealed in the previous episode.
Oh my god, I've been playing zombie soccer for 2 hours.
If you watch a little closer, his rubber band ball actually gets larger throughout this episode. But to see how all these things tie together, let's go ahead and dive into the deeper meaning.
What does a bean mean?
Someone please explain it to Kevin.
I think it's interesting that in this episode, when Kevin opens his mouth about his big idea,
An antacid that you only take once a week.
Once a week antacid is the idea to beat.
he gets mild form of encouragement. When Erin opens up her mouth about her idea,
And help each other and hire a new guy, and then we all kill him. But first we take out like $100,000 life insurance policy. I bet you guys like that idea, don't you?
she's met with severe confusion.
I don't know what the that was.
Except Angela. I think Angela knows more than what she's letting on. When Michael opens up his mouth with his concerns, people listen, but cautiously. When Oscar opens up his mouth to fact check Michael, everyone hates him.
Great. I was wrong. I'm wrong. Is everyone happy?
Well, hate might be a strong word, but a good majority of the office seem to be 100% on the side of Michael in this case.
Yeah, but it was a really smart thing to be right about, actually.
Actually, it was.
And honestly, when was the last time that happened in this series?
That's Weekend at Bernie's. Do you think that this is a game?
Do you really expect us to believe you're somebody else?
Do you really expect me to not push you up against the wall, biatch?
Whoa.
Circus!
Will they still air Rudolph?
That's not fair.
Are we going to cancel Hanukkah as well?
Mr. and Mrs. Bob Vance!
Michael,
Yes.
this is stupid.
I've got a golden ticket idea. Why don't you skip on up to the roof and jump off?
Michael, let me make this very easy for you. I could give a about your happiness. Stop dating my mother.
For the record, your mom came on to me. Hold on, they're lithium.
Andy, it was a secret.
Aaron. I don't know how you do it, Michael. I can't be that cold.
You'll learn, baby. You'll learn.
Raise your cups on high. Case closed.
Chalk 1 point up for Michael on season 7 growth there. So we have an episode where a lot of people are opening up their mouths and a lot of people are having varying reactions to that. Why does that happen? Well, I think it's two things. First, we see it when Andy opens up his mouth.
Megan Fox. Question mark. What's that mean?
Megan Fox, come on.
The contents of his message are rejected because there's no substance there. The content is empty. His communication is less of a message from one human to another and more of a proclamation that, yes, I am still here and I need attention.
Are you watching this? Seriously?
Well, are you?
I'm sitting right here.
But if attention as a motive for speaking is the issue, well then why is it okay when Michael talks? Because that is his thing.
You know what they say in the Bible about forgiveness? Forgiveness is next to godliness.
That's not. That's
Well,
cleanliness.
just.
But in this case, he's actually informed. And while his message probably isn't specifically relevant to middle-class workers of a mid-tier paper and printer distribution company in Scranton, PA, he isn't necessarily wrong. Michael being frightened by something that deserves serious consideration in reality is probably more cause for the hearers to at least attempt to calm him down, rather than be outraged or angry with him or just outright put him out.
This guy doesn't just want to win, you know? He wants to bury you. He wants to humiliate you.
When Oscar attempts to deter Michael, though, we see the same reaction Daryl gives Andy. Oscar is rejected because his message comes from a place of self.
Hey, Oscar,
What is it?
can you move aside so that I can ask Michael?
All right, I get it.
If Jim's talking head is to be believed, the general vibe with Oscar is that he feels the need to be validated by injecting himself into different conversations because he's good at Trivial Pursuit. And this is why the big showdown at Dwight's Caffeine Corner ends the way it does. Michael gaining the upper hand over Oscar because there's being right, and then there's being right and a douche cookie.
Actually?
And the age-old playground rule of nobody likes a know-it-all is very much ingrained in us humans. But that's enough about what's happening from a social psychological perspective, and let's talk more about what I think this episode is actually trying to convey. When I think about why does China, the episode, exist in the first place, well, I think it's one more piece of the pie in making Michael whole. He's tackled his professionalism and nepotism.
You are going to learn to be more professional, Luke!
He's dealt with the hurts from his past and counseling.
You're very helpful, aren't you? You try to help
trying to.
everybody. Do you want to play another game?
He's learned to share the spotlight and even lift up his competition in Andy's play.
I thought that you were exactly awesome. No better, no worse.
He's learned from his past loves in sex ed.
I've already contacted all of my ex-lovers except for you.
We were never lovers.
He's metaphorically accomplished everything there is to accomplish professionally at Dunder Mifflin in The Sting.
Can you imagine how well you would do selling our stuff?
He's learned how to compromise in the costume contest.
Silent.
Sorry.
He's learned that spastic attempts to fill the gaps in his heart are a waste of time in the christening.
It is so nice to be back in a country that has movies.
I bet, you guys.
He's learned that he has the capacity to have a real influence on people around him in the viewing party.
As long as you are living under this roof, you are going to do what I said.
I hate your roof.
Oh, do not raise your voice to me.
I'll raise it all I want. I'll raise the roof.
He's dealt with the weird pedestal that he put Ryan on so many years ago in Wolf.com.
But it just may be a lunatic. No.
And in China, he's learned that not only are people willing to rally around him for a decent cause,
That is for a good cause.
but also that with the smallest amount of reading, Michael actually has the capacity to learn.
California is bankrupt. And California.
I questioned in a video sometime last year, is Michael Scott stupid or a secret genius?
Is he some sort of secret genius? Sometimes I say crazy things.
But more often than not, I think Michael is just meant to be shown as dealing with some trauma from the past, along with being severely misled several times throughout his life.
I worked in a fast food restaurant to save up money for school. And then I've lost it in a pyramid scheme. But there was another Michael in the class that she apparently thought the date was with. So she went out with him on my birthday.
He's supporting about 20 Nigerian princesses.
Hey.
In the China episode, he reads a single magazine article and immediately absorbs all of that information. He continues to read and research and support the budding concepts in his mind. And that is really all it took for Michael to gain some points in intelligence, was to put some of the childish stuff away, sorry highlights, and focus on some things that are really impacting his world.
It's too big a pill to swallow.
Unfortunately, all of that is undercut by Michael winning the standoff with just a word salad cliche rhetoric.
I am talking about freedom, about choice.
But let's talk about that in the ratings.
This is the worst.
All right, so for the cold opening, continuing with the theme of always be learning, Dwight's attempting to usurp millions of years of bipedal evolution, and maybe never really got the message that Jurassic Park was trying to teach us. But for what it's worth, this is such a calmingly fun cold opening. Similar to the Stinger and Wolf.com, there's just something simple and refreshing with Jim getting the upper hand on someone who's only shackled by their own ideals. Like, the only thing that kept Gabe there and made that prank work is that Gabe would stay there to brown-nose Joe.
Now I love reading and I hate being interrupted. Shut up and listen, you gay bastard.
And it's the same for Dwight. Honestly, this one gets a 4 out of 5 from me. I love it. As for the episode, China is definitely an episode of The Office. I'll be honest, the writing on this one, there is actually more in this one that I just don't understand why they made the decisions that they made. First, I tend to avoid any and all references that might date a particular video. And that's because I still want people to watch this in 10 years. Hi, from the past, everybody. But the point being that the moment you reference a current event or a current trend, you either isolate your audience, as they have no idea what you're talking about, or you immediately give someone a sense that this piece of content is outdated and therefore not relevant. The debate is the actual focus in this episode, and not China. But choosing China's evolution into a world superpower does immediately date this episode. The same thing happened just a couple episodes ago.
Balloon Boy, Michael Jackson's funeral.
But the difference is that in 10 years, most younger people won't have any idea what Balloon Boy was. Maybe even people watching this have no idea what Balloon Boy was. They'll just think it was a made-up news story for the bit, and that would work because it still sounds funny. But beyond dating the episode, it just feels like a weirdly specific issue to focus on. I assume that the working title for this episode is Michael and Oscar Debate. Real creative, I'm sure they had something better than that.
The people here are amazing debaters. I guess you could say that they're master debaters.
But following that logic, it stands to reason that there was a writer's room session solely about what they should be debating about. So I spent 3 minutes of my time to figure out what they should have debated back in 2010 to not feel very dated. And the best I could come up with...
Drum roll!
was Inception a dream?
Saw Inception? Or at least I dreamt I did?
The oil disaster?
Thanks a lot, BP.
And COVID. Guess that's why I haven't been invited to be part of any of those exclusive writing rooms.
No names, no rhyming, no sound alikes.
Okay.
Honestly, I actually do think that there's a solve for this. Keep something geopolitical, but have them argue about a new highway expansion or some other Lackawanna County issue.
The real problem is the teachers union. Zip it, Meredith. No, you tell me when my kid is 17 and still can't read.
That teacher who was wrongfully accused of being a pedophile.
Was it the middle school teacher who tried to turn her foreign exchange student into a sex slave?
Was it the post office guy who rubbed his penis all over the mail?
Oh, Scranton Strangler! I'm thinking, how crazy is it that we got a car debate going on in a city known for gridlock?
I could talk about boobs.
In this way, you actually could sow some early seeds that Oscar has interest in local politics. Past that, like I mentioned, the resolution of these two plot lines basically make the entire plot lines useless. Michael didn't win because of some factoid he pulled out of his brain, but he won by spouting rally material. Pam didn't win her quest because of some heavy research, but because Dwight threw in the towel and created a way to allow her to think that she won on her own accord. Let's be honest, this wasn't really high-five worthy. It's a weird episode, and to me, the forever highlight is this bit.
I don't know what the that was.
So I'm gonna give this one a 3 out of 5.
Is that not good enough for your anus?
But that's all I have to say about China, the episode of The Office at least. Join me next week, and we're gonna talk about the beginning of the end. That's right, we have an hour-long classy Christmas episode to look at. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
That wasn't what we were that wasn't the whole